After the death of Joshua, the people of Israel remained in the land the Lord had promised to their fathers. The great battles were over, but the greater test had only begun. Victory had been given, yet obedience was unfinished. Cities still stood that should have fallen. Peoples remained who should have been driven out. And slowly, almost unnoticed, Israel began to settle rather than obey. They lived among the Canaanites. They traded with them. They intermarried with them, what God had warned them to destroy. They chose instead to tolerate, and tolerance became influence. Influence became imitation, and imitation became worship. The angel of the Lord came to the people and reminded them of the covenant. He spoke of Egypt, of chains broken, of seas divided, of promises sworn by God himself. The Lord had never failed Israel, but Israel had failed the Lord. They had not torn down the altars of false gods. They had not obeyed his voice. And because of this, the nations they spared would now become thorns in their sides. Their gods would become traps to their souls. The people wept when they heard this, but their tears were shallow. Their sorrow was brief. A generation passed. Then another rose, one that did not know the Lord, nor remember the works he had done. Stories of miracles faded into legends. Obedience was replaced by convenience, and the people turned to Baal, the god of storms and harvests, believing he would bless their fields. They bowed to Asherah, seeking prosperity, fertility, and protection. They abandoned the living God for silent idols, and the anger of the Lord burned against Israel. He withdrew his protection. He gave them into the hands of raiders and kings. Their enemies grew strong. Wherever Israel turned, they were defeated. Fear stalked their villages. Children grew up knowing oppression as normal life. And just as God had warned them, their suffering was the fruit of their own rebellion. Yet the Lord did not abandon them completely. When their suffering became unbearable, the people cried out not in righteousness, but in desperation. And the Lord, rich in mercy, raised up judges. Not kings crowned with gold, but deliverers called for moments of crisis. When the Spirit of the Lord came upon a judge, Israel was saved. Othniel was the first. Empowered by God, he defeated the king who had enslaved Israel for 8 long years. Peace returned. Fields were planted. Homes rebuilt. And the land rested for 40 years. But when Othniel died, memory died with him. Israel once again did evil in the sight of the Lord. So God strengthened Eglon, king of Moab, against them. Israel served Moab for 18 years, humiliated, taxed, broken. When they cried out, the Lord raised a head. Through cunning and courage, the oppressor fell. Moab was defeated. And once again, Israel had rest. But rest bred forgetfulness. Deborah rose in days of fear, when Canaanite armies ruled the highways and iron chariots crushed resistance. Israel hid behind walls, afraid to travel openly. Through Deborah, the Lord spoke. He summoned battle. And when the moment came, God himself fought. The enemy commander fled, only to fall in disgrace. Pride was shattered. Fear lifted. And the land rested for 40 years. But peace did not heal the people's hearts. Again Israel turned away. Again they served idols. So the Lord handed them over to Midian. For 7 years, Midian ravaged the land like locusts. Crops were stolen. Livestock taken. Israel hid in caves, starving and afraid. When they cried out, the Lord called Gideon, hiding in fear, doubting, questioning, weak by every human measure. God was patient with Gideon. He gave signs. He gave reassurance. Then he stripped Gideon's army down to almost nothing. Victory would not come by strength, but by obedience. With trumpets, torches, and faith, Gideon's men watched as the enemy destroyed itself in panic. Israel was saved, but the victory was incomplete. Gideon refused kingship, yet crafted an ephod from gold, a religious symbol that became an idol. The people worshipped it. And when Gideon died, Israel plunged deeper than before into corruption. Abimelech rose next, not called by God, but driven by ambition. He murdered his brothers and ruled through terror. His reign brought bloodshed, betrayal, and judgment. When he fell, crushed by a stone thrown from a tower, it was clear that Israel was rotting from within. More judges came Tola, how bringing quiet stability. But the people never returned fully to the Lord. Instead, Israel abandoned him completely. They served the gods of every surrounding nation. They chased power, pleasure, and prosperity. And so the Lord gave them into the hands of the Philistines and Ammonites. For 18 years, Israel was crushed. Finally, the people repented not only with words, but by destroying their idols. And the Lord's compassion stirred once more. Jephthah rose, a warrior rejected by his own people. He delivered Israel from Ammon. But his victory was stained by a vow spoken without wisdom, fulfilled with unbearable grief. Deliverance came but at a terrible personal cost. Faith existed, but understanding was gone. Then came Samson, chosen before birth, set apart by God, gifted with supernatural strength. Yet Samson was ruled by desire. He treated his calling lightly. He played with temptation. He trusted his strength instead of his God. Again and again, the Lord used Samson to strike Israel's enemies. But Samson never learned obedience. Betrayed by Delilah, his strength left him. Blinded and bound, he became a spectacle. Yet in his final moment, Samson remembered the Lord. Strength returned. The temple collapsed. And Israel was delivered at the cost of Samson's life. But the nation itself was still broken. The book ends in darkness. Idolatry corrupts worship. A Levite abandons righteousness. Violence consumes families. A woman is abused and murdered. Tribes rise against tribes. Civil war erupts. Innocent blood floods the land. And nearly an entire tribe of Israel is wiped out. There is no hero left. No judge rises. Only chaos remains. And the words echo over the ruins in those days. Israel had no king. Everyone did what was right in their own eyes. The book of Judges is not a story of heroes. It is a story of mercy. A record of a God who rescued his people again and again, not because they were faithful, but because he was patient. It is a warning of what happens when God is forgotten. And a promise that even in the darkest age, he still hears the cry of the broken.